everyone, thank you for coming today. This is our spoken word workshop video where we can discuss kind of like an outline and idea of how to make spoken word through this video here. We're going to walk through kind of a step-by-step. Unfortunately, spoken word in its natural beauty does not strictly follow an outline. And so as you start to get used to spoken word and writing it, you can kind of branch out and do your own thing. But just to start it out, just to give you kind of a blueprint to follow a little bit here, we're going to set a bit of an outline down for you, and then as you feel comfortable, you can branch out from it. So the very first thing you want to do when creating spoken word is to choose a subject. I have chosen a spoken word I wrote several years ago to use as an example at the end here after we discuss how to set one up. So my example that I chose was losing my best friend Dustin. Lost him to cancer in 2017, so almost, I guess it was 3 years ago now. So that was the subject of my spoken word. You want to pick a subject that is important to you and means something to you and that you're a bit passionate about, so that when you present it, you can really show that feeling that you have behind it. It can be very powerful to a lot of people when you pick a subject that means something to you. Because people listen when you're talking about something you care about. I've learned that the hard way. The next thing that you do is you choose some poetic devices that you would like to use. There's a couple out there. I mean, honestly, there's a huge list. But the ones that I chose are a bit easy to talk about. The first one is repetition. So maybe every other line, you repeat the same line. Or the same word throughout the entire poem, or the same concept. Like, even though you're for instance, there was one done where they did puns in every single line, and that was their repetition, was the concept of the pun within the lines. Another one could be just simply the subject of a cat. Every other line, cat, is in the subject. Another literary device is rhyming. That one's pretty straightforward. There's a lot of rap out there that can, be a really great showcase for you to see rhyming in its best. So like any sort of words you can think of that rhyme, dime, time. There's cat, sat, bat. So you want the end of the word to rhyme together. And so either the beginning of your lines of your poems could rhyme, or the ends of your poems could rhyme, or there's even ones where right in the middle of the line you could make them rhyme. The next kind of literary poetic device that you can use is alliteration. That one's pretty fun. It's essentially, you just have consonants repeating. One poet wrote a poem that he wanted to sound like the ocean. And so he used alliteration of an S sound. So the whole time it sounded like shh through his poem. So it literally sounded like you were listening to the ocean while reading his poem. It's very powerful. You could use like T sounds. Those really stick out. D, S, M. Alliteration is just like repetition of consonants. And my personal favorite, which I use several times within my spoken word, is personification. Personification is when you give a personality to something that doesn't actually have a personality. So it'd be like if I talked about this podium as a persnickety personality that doesn't like to stand still. I'm talking about this podium like it has desires and wants, and isn't just a boring piece of wood that it actually is. So I did that a lot throughout my spoken word poem. Once you choose a literary device that you want to use within your spoken word and you have your subject, you want to move on to the next part, which is performance. So spoken word tends to be most powerful when you focus on the way that you perform it. Eye contact is huge. Enunciation of specific words can also be really powerful. Pauses at certain points can really bring home your spoken word, and you can mark that on your page for yourself before you present your spoken word. Pause here to get the biggest effect. And then the last thing is gestures as well. The most important thing that you want to do throughout your spoken word is you want to make sure you're being honest. because people can pick up when you're not honest. People can pick up on that. So that's kind of just like a little how-to on how to get started. I can give you my spoken word as an example. I haven't read it in several years, so I'll do my best to. My presentation's gonna be kind of rough on this one. So this one is about my best friend Dustin dying. My body is just a house that I live in, a home that's been broken into. The windows of my soul are misted and unkept. The thoughts swirl about my mind like a wild wind, slipping through cracked walls. Silent. Silent my home sits, hollowed rooms where the only sound that you hear is the echo of the anguished sobs of my heart. Room after room you go and search for her, but you can't find her. She stays out of sight, frightened of the days ahead and filled with despair of the days past. I sit alone in a dusty library of memories. Deep pain sits close and slowly twists the movie reel of moments in the dark. One after the other they click through, stained with loss that doesn't scrub off. Please don't ask me to come to reality. Please don't ask me to leave him again. And I lost my spot. My apologies. Please don't ask me to leave him again. Let me cling to old memories. I have no desire to create new ones without him. Here nothing has changed. We still play Halo and argue about things that don't matter. And I can still feel his hug. He's laughing and it's not forced or painful. So what if it's not real? So what if I'm just sitting in a chair staring at the wall? Let me do my slow dance with deep pain, teetering on the edge of reality. Allow me to smile in the midst of tears, even if it is just out of fabrication. Give me my solitude. I never enjoyed small talk anyway. Excuse me from thought and logic. I have given them up for greater things that are now beyond my reach. Will I ever be able to move on? Can I ever forgive myself for not cradling every second like it was a precious jewel? I was unprepared. My home was vulnerable. My windows are now broken and my rooms are disheveled. If I can choke these words out, please lean an attentive ear. Protect your home. Fill it with unimaginable treasures that you cannot live without. And dare to allow your heart to snuggle up close to them and whisper those unspoken musings she always holds within. And don't blink. Never blink. Anyway, that's my spoken word. That one had a subject. It used personification quite a lot. Not so much repetition or rhyming, as you saw. And I attempted to give you eye contact and paused at certain points to help emphasize the meaning of my spoken word poem. We have some other friends who have other spoken word examples where you can see different ways that they've utilized alliteration, repetition, rhyming, and so on. Anyway, good luck, and I hope you do great. And I hope to see you all at our spoken word event, which is on August 1st at 6 p.m., I believe.
So I wrote this piece in my third semester at Bible school, kind of in the season where I was feeling really overwhelmed and felt kind of far in my relationship with God, but I was doing a lot of things and I was continuing to serve in a lot of different capacities. And so I wrote this spoken word as a way to kind of express a lot of my inner angst in a lot of what I was feeling. And so this is my spoken word. Lord, would you forgive me? I've been so focused on my responsibilities that I've forgotten what it's like to just be in your presence. I talk about doing everything that I do for your glory, but live without you in the forefront of my mind. I tell people to pray to help them throughout their day, and I don't even think about you during mine. Oh Lord, forgive the hypocrite. I know Jesus came and rebuked your people for doing what I do. Lord, would you help me to repent? Father, open my blind eyes, for I talk like I can see, but I'm disabled in more ways than I can even think. I'm a fool to walk this life without you, in this facade of saying that it's for you when it's just easier for me to say than it is for me to actually pray. Like to quiet my heart enough to actually listen, I forget what it's like to meet you. To just bask in your presence like my life literally depends on it. I don't breathe a single breath unless you give it to me, and I know that. And I forget to live like that throughout my day. Maybe not the parts when my professors teach on doctrine or on how to read my Bible, but when I'm walking down the street next to hundreds of people, when I'm making jokes with my friends, throughout my day I say I'm tired, like there's a million things on my mind except you. I forget. Or I should say, I don't make it important, Father, I'm drowning. I threw myself in the water and I'm asking for your help, and you're the one keeping me afloat. Actually, now I'm rolling in the dirt and you're just telling me to stand, and I'm still complaining that it's hard to swim. Oh my soul, would you just look to him?
Hey everybody, I'm William Reid. Just want to share with you guys actually one of my first spoken words that I ever wrote. I wrote this my junior year of high school. At that time I had just started PSCO at Northwestern, and actually Saolomon had showed me some spoken word. I never heard a spoken word before. I had been into rap and different music and stuff like that, but spoken word was a new genre to me. And so I was super wrestling with this idea of how everyone is just busy all the time. Everyone just gets up and you gotta go. Everyone's looking for this something, this satisfaction, this joy in all the things that they do, and pleasure, and trying to just take in as so much that we can numb ourselves. And I was kind of wrestling through all these things and looking for a contentment and joy that goes beyond that is found in Jesus. Because ultimately everything of the world is a broken cistern, right? Everything gives us water that doesn't actually satisfy us, but only Jesus gives us water that's satisfying. So that's where I kind of came from when I wrote this. I really like the genre of spoken word because it's like poetry. You definitely see that in this one a lot, but there's a lot more passion and there's a lot more you can do with your presentation. And I think that's what sets spoken word apart from other genres of poetry or music, which is why I particularly like it. But yeah. Jumbled thoughts. Please let me be. I thought I knew what I wanted to be. I thought life was simple. It seemed plain to me, but purpose is lacking. Is it that hard to see? Each day we all get up, little time to reflect. We have ambitions and dreams that we must perfect. Smooth lives of perfection we do our best to protect. But it's all just empty. Don't you see the disconnect? That's not true, you might find yourself say. I am quite happy. In fact, I got a new car today. I have a girlfriend, nice shoes, and even high pay. So what point do you have? I must ask if I may. You see, the things of this world have a persistent task. Whenever you feel thirst, they give you their flask. They say it'll quench your thirst, no questions to ask. But in reality, it leaves you worse off. It's all just a mask. Underneath lies hurt, depression, and pain, a longing for satisfaction to obtain contentment that sustains this gnawing disdain we tried to contain by stimulating ourselves with pleasure at a rate we cannot maintain. See, happiness is like snow. It melts away for a while, it may last, but in the end it cannot stay. Its amusement calls us, an enticing utopia displays, but it's a mirage and it's fleeting. Just like the days. We shake our fists in frustration and we ask God why? Why we feel so alone and why we feel His joy is a lie. If this life brings no comfort, then we swear God has died. We give up on His love and continue on life's ride. But what if we're striving for all the wrong things? We think we know what we need, and to our pride do we cling. We say, following God is hard. Only rules does it bring, but Jesus already fulfilled those. The perfect offering. See, God doesn't just want us to follow some rules. He didn't just make us to be human pack mules. If you think that's our purpose, we make ourselves fools, because He created us for more. For fulfillment no man can ridicule. He offers true joy, and one that will last. It's not one that you think of as a thing of the past. It's something that's constant. It doesn't slip away fast. His joy comes from hope, and hope supporting cast. This hope stems from love, which God gives to us all. He's love. He pours out freely like a rushing waterfall. In this, God provides satisfaction, a purpose to all, but you might never find it if you're still looking at the mall. If His joy is so great, why haven't I found it, you might wonder. I once prayed that prayer, yet my joy has gone asunder. It feels like I'm drowning and longing, and something is holding me under. He must not really love me. Maybe He thinks I'm a blunder. But you see, it's not just about getting. We also must give. Give Him all of our desires, longings, and whims. We must say no to ourselves and yes to Him. We must empty ourselves, and then He will fill us to the brim. You see, our soul is like a cup. But with mud do we fill it? It's dirty and murky, completely covered with grit. To replace it with clean water, we must decide to commit to emptying the grunge and removing what's unfit. In the same way, we continually must deny what life flaunts. Say no to what we think we need, what we think we want. When we do this, we no longer have false joy that daunts. We have true joy and purpose, of which we can rightfully want. So in the end, life may seem empty and full of vain pursuit, people striving for something, some unattainable loot. But true joy and satisfaction comes from Jesus, and it is not moot, and it comes to those who deny themselves daily and seek no substitute.